Hi, I am Joel Sharpton, the Chief Editing Officer and owner of ProPodcasting Services.com, and I am the producer for the Keep It 100 Girl podcast. Nina asked me to talk to you guys a little bit about how you can prep and prepare to better use a podcast producer like myself or another company that you find across the web. And there are a lot of great companies and independent contractors that can help you produce your podcast on time and with minimal effort on your part. The number one thing, though, that I tell anybody trying to get into podcasting is that they need to ask two big questions for themselves first. Why am I producing this podcast, and what does it mean for me and my business? If the reason that you're podcasting is because of a personal passion and it's not going to be related in any way to finances, if it's not part of your business, if you're not going to be selling a product or promoting a service, and if you're not going to be attracting clients or prospective customers through your podcast, then I would strongly suggest that you plan the podcast and your efforts into it with the thought that it's going to be a hobby. Don't think that it can be free, because I can't think of many hobbies that are free. You know, you think about people who golf, people that hunt, people that fish, things like that. Those are very expensive hobbies. Podcasting, relatively, is a very inexpensive hobby. But to do it right, it is going to cost you a few dollars and a lot of time, too. You can minimize that, and you should minimize that up front, though, if you know that it's going to be a hobby project or a passion project. And the reason that I say that is because by doing that up front, knowing its place in your life and its relative priority level, you can ensure that you're going to be less likely to pod fade. On the flip side, if you are a business or a business owner, if you're a salesperson, if you've got a product, if you've got a service to share, if you're actively attracting clients and customers, then you should think about that from the beginning, and you should invest in your podcast with exactly that in mind. Now, one of the ways that Nina did that is by hiring a podcast producer. I was not her first producer. She hired me about 40 or 50 episodes in, I think, and I've been with her almost a year now. And we've been producing the Keep It 100 Girl podcast through a scripting process. She sends me the basic script that she's used to record her show, and then she also sends me the raw audio. And the beauty of that is it allows me to not just use what I hear are the best takes, but I also see her original intent. Now, every script that she produces doesn't necessarily include every word that she says, and every word that she says isn't necessarily included in the script. But primarily, I see what her intention and direction for the episode is, and I can do that without an extra phone call or a series of text messages from her. She just sends me the work that she's already done, and I'm able to work from there. That minimizes the interaction back and forth that we have to have as producer and host, which allows me to finalize her projects a lot faster and ship them out to her audience. Not every show will be scripted, obviously. If you're a interview-heavy show, you're probably going to be primarily reacting and interacting with the guest. But even there, you should go into the interview with some idea of the direction that you want the interview to take, the length of the interview that you want to capture for your producer and your audience, and how you're going to highlight that guest throughout the process. More planning on your part, more preparation on your part ahead of time, the more systems and practices that you put into place that are easily replicable, the more your producer can take off your hands and make it easier on you to actually produce this great content. So I would say very much think about two things. What does your podcast mean to you, and what is the purpose of that podcast? And then once you're actually producing content, do your prep work, do the legwork, do the homework beforehand, so that whether you hand it off to a producer or whether you're just having to follow up with it yourself and actually edit and polish the content, if you make good notes ahead of time, if you make good preparations ahead of time, then producing and finalizing that content is going to be even easier. If you'd like more information, you can find me at ProPodcastingServices.com. And don't forget to listen to the Keep It 100 Girl podcast to get great examples of this kind of process on an ongoing basis.